Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success, a change conversation for leaders, project and change practitioners for today and tomorrow. My name is Therese Perez of myvirtualchangemanager.com, and I'm an experienced change and project professional and people leader with many years of experience in the industry. I love business, and I love the people side of business especially. So nothing lights me up more than seeing people use change management, project management, and strong change leadership to engage, motivate, and inspire people, and ultimately transform organisations. If you've heard about change management and have no idea of what it involves, then you're in the right place. If you know about change management, but you want to take your practices to the next level, then this is where you should be. I'm going to share the stories of my experiences, interview some fantastic people, and I'm going to explore all of the challenges and opportunities that you face in organisations right now. So please join me and let's go and have some fun. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese Perez, and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. Today we are talking about what speeds up and slows down change in an organisation, because speed is of the essence. And before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am recording on Turrbal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording. Speed. It's all about speed, the need for speed when it comes to change. And I'm going to cover off some of the key themes that I've observed over many years of delivering change. And these are really recurring because these ones as such really do impact the speed of change. And whether this is done well or whether it's not done well, it actually affects, can affect the outcomes, but certainly will affect how fast you can deliver change. The first key area is about vision setting. And I know it sounds a little bit cliche to talk about vision at the beginning, but it really has a lot to do with clarity. And so the more clarity that gets brought to the table early on, the faster people can move along that change curve. Sometimes when starting off a project or program, there isn't much clarity about exactly what is wanting to be achieved. And that's part of the project challenge, I guess, at the beginning of most of the changes that you're bringing in. But even more challenging is if you have people who you're looking to lead through the change when they're not clear on what direction you're headed or what that future state really looks like. So vision setting is really important, being able to establish the why really firmly, the why now, even more firmly, but then also talking about this is where we're headed. People can't follow if people aren't clear about what that roadmap looks like, all of the activities, the requirements, and also about where they're going. I find also in this stage of any change that being able to say what is staying the same as much as being able to address what is changing is important. So vision setting, being able to point to the direction you're headed, the future state that you're looking to implement, and making sure that everyone's clear about that and what it looks like. The second area is about leadership engagement. I'm going to talk about leadership in two ways in these areas. First one is about whether leaders are really engaged on the change, so whether they're owning it. The faster and the more that leaders are engaged on the change and own it, the faster the change can be brought into effect. If leaders throughout the ranks of an organisation and the hierarchy of an organisation, if they're not on board with the change, it is going to slow things down. They're not going to communicate, they're going to be slack about how they actually cover off briefings, for example, and part of that's going to impact the speed that their own teams are going to be able to get on board for the change. So leadership engagement is really critical. The other area that we find where change gets slowed down is decision making. And so leaders make a huge difference in this space, and leaders play a role insofar as change sponsors and being change sponsors for a project or program. This is an area, and I'll do a deep dive on this in a future episode, because if you think about typical management in an organisation, oftentimes people are promoted based on their specialist skill set. And as you're going up a hierarchy in an organisation, what happens if you're not able to be more of a generalist, if you're not able to understand how to effectively build teams, bring them together, move them through change, you're going to also struggle with sponsoring projects or programs. And many leaders are in the position where they're being tasked with being responsible for sponsoring a piece of work, and yet they're struggling to make decisions, to understand their role, to actually be able to remove obstacles when those obstacles aren't necessarily within their direct control. So their ability to work collegiately, their ability to clear obstacles and pathways becomes ineffectual, and therefore the project or program and the change itself gets slowed down. And I've seen oftentimes the frustration within projects or programs, the frustration of having a leader who is unable to make decisions, unable to clear those obstacles, and essentially it just causes delays. So it's really important that decision makers are really embracing that role when it comes to sponsorship of projects or programs, and understanding how governance works, working in with that, requiring that, asking for the information that they need to be able to make decisions to move things forward. So it's a really, really key area of focus when it comes to why a project is slowing down, is around the sponsorship, the ability of the leader in the sponsorship role, as well as the ability of the leader to negotiate and navigate issues and obstacles and clear the path for those who are bringing the change in. So the next area is in relation to understanding who needs the most support. So change can be brought in if there is a really well undertaken and well executed impact assessment where the areas that need the support are focused on and are supported in that way. You can actually speed up change as a result and be very efficient as a result of doing a really robust change impact assessment, and then also responding to that appropriately based on the areas that need the support the most. It's quite a basic concept, but a really effective one on essentially saying those areas who require training uplift, who require new capabilities, those areas that need more communication, who will need more time spent with them because of the impact of the change, that actually is undertaken. The reason why it speeds up change is it becomes more efficient, therefore, when you're moving to future state. These are often areas which are really pivotal in moving the organisation or the department from the current state to the future state. So by supporting them the most, you actually get to speed up your change process. If you don't, it will slow down your ability to move through the change, because those areas sooner or later will start to really raise issues, raise concerns that need to be addressed, and you essentially have to slow down to address those. So the more support, directing the support to those appropriate areas means that you're going to be able to speed up the change that you're introducing. The next area is around timelines, and I find this really interesting because it's about action and momentum. So having clear timelines creates a sense of tension within your project or program and within the change that you're creating. Having those milestones is almost like a target for tension, a target for momentum, and it allows people to move forward and to see progress, to participate and to be clear on what those requirements are leading up to that milestone, as well as being able to hit a target, celebrate it, and move on. So you would be surprised, or maybe not, that timelines really do matter. And whether it be at an individual level or whether it be a milestone within a program for a team to hit, those targets are really, really important. So if you wanted to speed up your program, then you make sure the timelines and the milestones are clear so that people can get momentum, can get a sense of forward movement, and can have that point of tension for performance. this helps your project or program speed up. Oftentimes when looking at or sitting back and observing a project or program as to why it's taking so long can actually be that the timelines aren't clear for the individuals around their deliverables, and that accountability or sense of accountability isn't there. So really, really important to have your plan, really important to have your milestones clear and your critical path clear. Lastly, roles and responsibilities. This is such a key one. If your project or program or your change is starting to meander a little bit, starting to lose its way, sometimes it's because your roles and responsibilities aren't clear between your program team, between those in business as usual who might be participating in the program, and you're starting to become a little bit inefficient. Clarity around roles and responsibilities is really key, because if that's not clear, you're often going to also get conflict, and conflict in a project or program or in a change often results in inefficiencies. It results in lost time through issue resolution. It's almost like a key distraction which will slow down the change. You will find that sometimes that projects or programs in the PIR stage, so the post-implementation review, or if you're conducting a retro, that this can come up sometimes around the lack of clarity around roles and responsibilities, and sometimes that can put pressure onto other areas who've had to pick up the slack because those accountabilities and tasks weren't clear in the first place. And whilst there's that concept of teaming, it can really cause friction and unnecessary friction. And knowing that speed is all about that flow and being able to create efficiency in delivery, then this is something that really does need to be looked at. The other thing around speed, lastly, is about the expertise you have around the table. And there, I did touch on this before when I talked about fast change around resourcing. So who you're selecting to be part of the team. Obviously, if you have people who in the organisation, that nice blend of those who are across the organisation, the understanding of the culture, understand the approach, as well as those who you have might be buying in skills, that perfect blend will also help to speed up change in an organisation and help deliver change to an organisation. And so you do want to make sure that you're consciously thinking about your resource construct for a change in a program, because that also does serve a really strong purpose when it comes to the speed to which you're able to deliver change and the speed it would take for an organisation to change, because the existing channels, a lot of the subject matter experts and influencers may be all part of that change journey through that blend of bought-in capability as well as utilising existing capability in the organisation. Really something important to consider. So we've covered off a lot of key points there just around the areas that you may want to reflect upon. So if you're working on a change currently, just think about, is the vision clear? Is it a case where everyone understands the roadmap and the change roadmap? Are leaders engaged on the change? So are they talking about it, especially if it's transformational? Are they understanding it? Have they bought into it? And also, is the decision making from leadership level, is that strong in your project, program, or in the change that you're working on? Understanding who needs the most support, are you set up to provide that support to those areas who will need it the most? Are timelines clear? Are milestones set out so that people understand when things will get delivered, when things will be transacted upon, or when there will be things that they are required to participate in? Are there clear roles and responsibilities? And have you got the right resource construct, the right mix of existing staff, team members, as well as those who are bringing new capabilities to the table to work on the change and deliver the change? These are just some key areas which affect the ability for change to take place and be delivered upon in your organisation. So have a think about that. You might want to think about that from a project health or change health perspective, and just do a quick assessment on those areas. And I hope that these areas have given you something to think about If you're halfway through the change, you might want to influence how some of these might be put into play. If you're just setting up your program, you may want to consider these areas, key areas of focus for you to make sure you're setting your program up for success, because speed is of the essence. With all of the economic pressures playing out across organizations at the moment, speed to be able to deliver change is more important than ever. Thanks for listening. I hope you found this episode valuable. Now, if you're finding Next Level Change Success interesting to listen to, please do recommend this to family, friends, those who are in the industry. We are looking to affect change at scale within organizations about how change is being approached, and really with people at the center of everything that we do. And if you can leave a review, I would be very grateful, because that's how other people find us. So whether you subscribe or leave a review, that would be fantastic. It would help others as well. And come and visit us at myvirtualchangemanager.com. Come and have a look at the tools and the resources that we have for you, which may assist you in building your own change capability and really lift your confidence in being able to talk about change, but also to deliver change in a way that's a win-win for your organization and for your people. Thanks very much and have a great day. And remember that change matters because your people matter.